So today we'll be doing the comparison between the S25 and the iPhone 16 Pro, and we'll see like which device is worthwhile with regards to the price itself. So let's go ahead and just dig out into the specs of these phones. So let's go ahead and just talk about the dimensions wise. So dimensions wise, the S25 is 146.9 by 70.5 by 7.2 millimeter in thickness. On the other side, like the iPhone is 149.6 by 71.5 and 8.3 millimeter in thickness. So I believe you're just getting the S25 to be a thinner device itself. Weight wise, obviously you're just getting 162 grams over here. You get to see the iPhone at 199 grams. On the S25, you're just getting the glass front and the glass back with the aluminum frame. So it's a glass which is like a Gorilla Glass Victus 2. iPhone side, you're just getting the glass front and the glass back as well with the titanium grade 5 frame in between. And Apple claims this glass to be like ceramic sheet glass 2024 Gen, and it's being claimed like this is like a more prone to scratch resistance. And if we talk about the certification on these both, so both are just with IP68 dust, tide and water resistance. So iPhone is getting IP68 dust, tide and water resistance up to 6 meter for 30 minutes, and on the S25 you just get 1.5 for 30 minutes. You're just getting slightly better on the iPhone 16 Pro regarding the depth. Talk about the screen on these both phones. So S25 comes with the dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2x 120Hz display. It's supposedly HDR10 and it has a peak brightness of 2600 nits. On the iPhone side, you're just getting the LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED 120Hz display, and it's supposed the HDR10 Dolby Vision and the peak brightness of up to 2000 nits. If you talk about the screen size, so the S25 comes with the 6.2 inches, which is 91.1% screen to body ratio. Resolution wise, this one is 1080 by 2340 pixels. 19.5:9 aspect ratio and 416 ppi density. If you talk about the iPhone 16 Pro, so you're just getting a 0.1 inches more, which is like 6.3 inches, and 90.1% screen to body ratio, and you get the resolution of 1206 by 2622 pixels, which is 19.5:9 ratio, makes it around 460 ppi density. So you're just getting a better PPI on the iPhone 16 Pro. Both supposedly always on display. On the Android side, Samsung comes, and the Samsung S25 supports around up to 7 major upgrades. Out of the box, this device comes with the Android 15 and One UI 7, which is like one of the bestest, or you can say like a refined experience you can just get from the Android device. On the iPhone 16 Pro, you're just getting iOS 18 and it's upgradable up to 18.3.2. And if you talk about the chipset on these ones, so these both have like a flagship chipsets on these both devices. So on the S25, you're just getting a flagship chip from the Qualcomm, which is the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and it is a 3nm chipset, and it's been specifically made for the Galaxy. Now when I say like it's made specifically for the Galaxy, so it's just have a cores like the performance cores, which are just overclocked to 4.47 gigahertz. On the right, we're just getting the Apple 18 Pro chip, which is also a 3nm chipset, and like both chips are pretty great. Like I've used these chips for a couple of months, and these are like great, like nothing to complain regarding that one. If you talk about the chipset on the S25, so that is basically octa-core, which is 2 into 4.47 gigahertz performance cores and 6 into 3.53 gigahertz of efficiency cores. On the iPhone 16 Pro side, you're just getting a hexa-core, so that's like a 2 into 4.05 gigahertz of performance cores, and then there's 4 into 2.42 gigahertz of efficiency cores. GPU wise, like you're just getting on the S25 Adreno 830. On the iPhone 16 Pro, you're just getting the Apple GPU, which is like a 6-core graphics. Both GPUs are pretty great. I just done the gaming on these both phones, and there's nothing to complain. Like all sort of games that you throw on these devices, these will just seamlessly play those old games. Like these are like one of the bestest flagship chips in these devices. Now if you talk about the memory options, so you're getting on the S25 to be 128 GB, and it goes all the way up to 512 GB with bundle up with the 12 gigs of RAM. On the iPhone 16 Pro, you're just getting 128, and they just go all the way to 1 terabyte with 8 GB RAM. On the S25 it's the UFS 4 memory, and the iPhone 16 Pro you're just getting NVMe. Now if we talk about the cameras, obviously you're just getting a better setup, like much more better than the S25 itself. Both have like a triple setup on the back itself if you compare, but the camera lenses itself, like these are much more better on the iPhone 16 Pro. Like I think it's not a good compare, I would just say, because iPhone just leads by like shining marks, I would just say, in this regard. So yeah, so let's talk about the specs on the camera itself. So if we talk about, so these both are like obviously triple camera setup. On the S25 you'll just
iPhones, especially the Pro models, are highly regarded and often seen as.
If you talk about the S25 camera setup over here, so you're just getting a 50 megapixel wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, which is 3 times optical zoom, and then there's 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. On the iPhone 16 Pro you're just getting 48 megapixel wide, and then there's 12 megapixel periscope, which is 5 times optical zoom, and then there's 48 megapixel ultra wide, which is like a new sensor on this one. AI wise, if we talk about, so S25 supports best face, it has the LED and has the auto HDR and panorama. On the iPhone 16 Pro you're just getting a dual LED tone flash, which is also supposed the HDR on this phone. Now S25 can shoot 8K up to 30 FPS. iPhone cannot shoot at 8K, but rather it can just shoot 4K at up to 120 FPS, which is like brilliant in its own way. And if you talk about like what it supports with regard to the sound quality on the video itself, so S25 can record 10-bit HDR10 plus stereo sound is there, and on the iPhone 16 Pro you're also getting the 10-bit HDR. It has the Dolby Vision HDR up to 60 FPS, and there's a pro resolution, there's a 3D spatial, and it has the studio mic, which are like useful in some circumstances, but I generally don't like that much of these studio mics on this one. So if we talk about the front camera, so they both have the 12 megapixel on the front itself. So I like the layout on the S25. Obviously, like it has a punch hole camera on the front. I don't like the this island, dynamic island on the iPhone 16 Pro. Like it takes chunk of a space on this smaller screen itself. So visual wise, I would just say aesthetically, like the S25 was much more better in terms of the screen. If you talk about the speakers, so these both have like a stereo speakers, and both are great. Obviously the iPhone 16 Pro speaker is better with regards to the depth, and you can see, you can hear just much more nicer music from these speakers. If we talk about the security features on these both, so S25 have the under display fingerprint scanner, which is like an ultrasonic one. On the iPhone 16 Pro it has the proprietary Face ID. So both are like pretty much secure, I would just say. On the S25 the greatest advantage is that it's supposedly Samsung DeX, like which you can just transform your phone into a computer itself, and there's no such compatibility with the iPhone itself. Battery wise, obviously you're just getting a 4000 mAh on the S25 and 3582 mAh on the iPhone 16 Pro. Both are like pretty great with regards to the battery consumption, and just I will just say thanks to those efficient chips regarding that one. If you talk about the color options, so S25 you're just getting the icy blue, mint, navy, silver, shadow, pink, gold, coral red, blue, black. On the iPhone 16 Pro you're just getting the black titanium, white titanium, natural titanium, and desert titanium. So 4 basic colors you're just getting on the iPhone 16 Pro. Now let's talk about the builds on these both phones. So if you talk about the sides, so obviously once you just hold these devices in hand, so you'll feel that the iPhone feels much more premium in hands, a little bit heavier, looks that's something solid you're just holding in a hand. S25 on the other hand, it no means like it feels cheaper, but like it feels like you're just holding something very light because of its weight, and you'll feel like it's a pretty easy to hold in the hand. Like both devices are easy to hold, but this is a little bit lighter if you have like a small hands. So if you talk about the sides, so obviously I like both sides are pretty nice, but with regards to like how strong these are, so iPhone 16 Pro is obviously a titanium, which is like a much less prone to damage than the aluminum on the S25. I like the finish on the iPhone 16 Pro really much. It's like a raw titanium, just looks pretty elegant, I would just say, in this color. And if you talk about the size, so the feel wise, both are pretty much great in their own ways. Uh, you just get to see on the right one power button, the volume up and down, and then there's the antenna band. On the iPhone 16 Pro, you're just getting a new camera button, you have a volume button, and you have two antenna bands. If we talk about the top, so you're just getting very sleek look on the iPhone, that there's just one antenna band, nothing more. And on the S25, you're just getting one antenna band, and there's a noise cancelling mics. And if you come onto the left side, so you absolutely see nothing on the S25. Pretty sleek look, just two antenna bands. And here there's lots of things going on. There's a SIM card on the iPhone, there's volume up and down, and then there's action button, and then there's two antenna bands over here. Now if you come on to the down, so you get to see just the speaker over here, the Type-C charging port, and the mic, and one antenna band. On the S25, you're just getting two antenna bands, and then there's speaker, then there's Type-C charging port and SIM card tray, and one noise cancellation mics. The bag itself, I'm really liking, like the both colors are pretty nice in their own ways, I would just say. Like the feel itself, both feel pretty much premium, nothing to complain. I would just say iPhone feels much more heavier and feels like you're just holding something really well built, I would just say. And nevertheless, like the S25, it's really handy itself too, and doesn't feel cheap at all. But like the feel on the iPhone feels a little bit solid than the S25, obviously because of the titanium being used in this. Both looks pretty much elegant. I really like the color on the S25. Overall look wise, iPhone 16 Pro also looks very much nice. You will never be wrong with either of these devices. Like the size itself, if you just compare, so iPhone is thicker than that, but size wise you just see very minimalistic kind of difference in these both. Like obviously the iPhone is slightly taller, or you can say, and it's just speaking, the S25 is just speaking through the corners because of the less rounded corners, and the iPhone have like a more rounded corners, I would just say. But both devices feel pretty much nice. If you talk about the screen itself, so there's nothing to complain regarding the screen itself. Like 16 Pros just comes with a 120Hz display. I mean, these are the only iPhones which just comes with a 120Hz display. And I think this is one of the best you can get from the iPhone itself, and it's kind of a shame, I would just say, like iPhone 16, like a regular iPhone 16, those are coming with a 60Hz display. It's probably the biggest shame, I would just say. Like at that price point, it doesn't make sense at all. It's better to just go ahead and just get the 15 Pro, I would just say. But nevertheless, like both of these screens, these are excellent screens, I would just like to say, regarding that. You can just get like the best of the best right now in the market, and these are the two screens I would just like to mention. And animation wise, if we talk about, so you can have a look. These both are very nice. The only thing I don't like, once you just swipe up and you're just looking to close apps, so in iPhone you have to do just these ones, like single app at a time, but here on the S25 you can just close those one all together, so which I like a little bit more on the S25. One thing I really like on the S25 is the ability to do the multitasking. Like nevertheless, like an iPhone 16 Pro has an A18 Pro chip. Now how you can utilize that chip, or just to make this chip to be more productive, there has to be some software that Apple needs to develop to just engage the device itself in the multitasking that the user can use for its benefit. So the S25, like you can just go ahead and you can just do a split screen. It's a very old thing, and you can just do the split screen. It's very helpful. You can just open two apps side by side. You can do these old things, like you can make the split screen to be as big and add small for each of the app. But the same thing you cannot do just on the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm not sure why Apple is not integrating that thing. Like, even if I would just say like if it's copying the Android, but it's a good thing. I mean, I know like both the devices just copy each other, like the Android and the iOS both copy each other, but I'm not sure like why Apple is not integrating this one into their software itself. Like, it's a very, very helpful thing to use. Display screen, or you can see the pop-up window that you can use. Like, these all sort of like, I really, really find these ones to be productive. Like, you can just open half screen calculator, and half screen you can just make a notes over there. So that's pretty much productive, I would just say. But you cannot do that on the iPhone 16 Pro. I mean, in any of the iPhones lineup down the line to any of the iPhone you can just pick. So that's kind of a thing I don't like about the Apple. Like, it's very, very simplistic. However, it's good for people like who are just locked into the Apple ecosystem, and maybe they don't want that thing and they're just happy. So obviously this device, or they want like something simple, so this iPhone 16 Pro will be for them. But nevertheless, like, the A18 Pro chip is very much powerful, but to make the best use out of it, like, there has to be software integration that matches or which can just utilize the chip capacity, I would just say. If you talk about the AI, so AI is obviously like much more better on the S25, I would just say, like, than the iPhone 16 Pro. Now, I mean, iPhone 16, like, I would just say like it's improving. The Apple is now introducing the AI features, but still, like, Samsung S25 is like, or you can say Samsung itself is much way ahead than the Apple itself with regards to the AI itself. Like, if you want to erase something from the picture, so that is being done more naturally on the Android itself by the Samsung rather than on the Apple itself. And then there's one really good feature I really like in the video. You can edit the video and you can just reduce down the sound or you can say noise from the background through the AI. So those things are pretty much useful when it comes to the S25. Now we just go ahead and just play some HDR video, 4K video on these both phones, and we just try to analyze the colors on these both devices. So we'll just go ahead and just play the video itself. So the screen on these both phones, let me do one thing. Let me push it to the 4K on this one, and we'll have a better idea regarding the playback on these both phones. Now both the screens are pretty crisp, I would just say, in their own way, and like, these like one of the best screens you can just get on the market itself. I realized that the S25 rounded corners make it feel a little bit like bigger. Like, if I just zoom it in, so you can see like this looks much more nicer than the iPhone 16 Pro with that bigger island. Like, you just notice that one a lot once you're just using the phone itself. However, on the S25 you might let go this small punch hole camera you forget during the viewing video on the phone itself, but that is really hard to just get unnoticed on the iPhone 16 Pro. So that's the biggest drawback. But nevertheless, like, the flat screen on the iPhone looks pretty nice with respect to the colors. S25, obviously it has like a bigger bezel, so you notice that one to some point, but iPhone just feels like it's just the screen, or you can say display, just flushing into the frame itself, which feels like it's just like a panel without a bezel, I would just say. Bezel-less panel, I would just say. So both are great, I would just say. Yeah, so you won't be like wrong with any of these. Now we just go ahead and just play some video and test out the speakers on these both phones. So we just go ahead and just try on the S25 first. So both are like on the full volume right now, and we just have an idea like which one performs better. So let's start with the S25 first. iPhone. So initial impression, I can just vouch on these both speakers that the both are really amazing speakers. The this time like the Samsung has placed really good speaker on this, like a budget, not like a budget, but like the S25. I would just say like the least flagship you can get out of that lineup. So what I noticed exactly is like the S25 is louder than the iPhone 16 Pro, but iPhone 16 Pro, you're just getting more depth in the sound itself. But yeah, the S25 is much more louder than the iPhone 16 Pro. That's what I just noticed with the initial impression. Nevertheless, like both speakers are pretty great. I assume like once you're in like a louder setting, so you will be just hearing more to the S25 than the iPhone 16 Pro. But you will be just enjoying iPhone 16 Pro like once you're just laying down on a bed, and because like it has like a more depth, so it feels like a much more speaker, I would just say. But yeah, if you want like best of the best, so I believe the S25 is like the best of both worlds, where you just can hear the louder and you get that depth as well over there as well, like which is like a higher depth you get from the regular S25. But nevertheless, like these both speakers are very great in their own aspects, and I believe that these are like one of the best you can get in the market right now. So yeah, another question arises, like which device I would just prefer with regards to the price point. So the answer is pretty much easy, and it depends upon you guys as well. So if you're just logged into the Apple ecosystem, obviously, so you don't have any other option except you can just get the iPhone 16 Pro, or you can just go ahead and just get the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is like a flagship device. Like if you consider that the iPhone 16 would be the choice at that price point, I would definitely not going to get that one. I would just go ahead and just get the 15 Pro instead. On the Android side here, obviously, if you're a person who's just looking to, or you're just logged into the Android itself, so here you can, on the S25, you can get just one of the best experience. One UI 7 has been too much refined, and if you're so much into the AI itself, so I would believe like the Samsung is way ahead than Apple. Like Apple is still is like very much naive, like it has the features which are pretty much useless, I would just say. But the thing is that like if you're just looking for advanced features like an object remover or eraser from the picture itself, like a video editing, like the AI itself like helps out in the video editing in the Samsung itself. So obviously like Samsung is way ahead in the AI game than the Apple itself. Apple is just catching up, but like it's still pretty much way behind than the Samsung itself. So yeah, if you just move towards the Samsung S25, so obviously you'll be just saving some bucks as well, and you'll be just getting a better experience with regards to the multitasking. Like iPhone 16 Pro doesn't support the multitasking, so if you're just a person who's just into those things, so obviously the S25 would be the better choice with regards to that one. Camera wise, I would just say like the iPhone 16 Pro like is still the bestest phone, I would just say. So it's like a clear win for the iPhone 16 Pro regarding the when it comes to the camera quality and the video recording capabilities of this one. So yeah, do let me know like which phone would you guys prefer, and if you guys have any questions, you can just let me know down in the comments, and please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching again. Have a good day. Bye.